Hey everybody, it's Pete Chaito, Meadville Tribune, Sideline Confidential podcast. Thanks for listening once again. It is episode 20, Jordan just reminded me. 2-0. We turned a big 2-0 today, Jordan. Congratulations. Yeah. One more until this podcast can drink. Looking forward to that. So what's up this week, man?
Nothing much really. Kind of a late one. I think that we decided that it would be better to, do it after the first rounds of the Class 2A wrestling duels and the 3A championship for wrestling.
Right.
I think it just it made sense to, recap both those events, not be caught in between the two.
I guess so. But yeah, like you said, the 3A duels were tonight, but you don't have as much to say about them as you would.
Both Warren and Meadville, they wrestled against each other in the semifinals, while Prep and McDowell were on the other side, and both Meadville and Warren were kind of shorthanded, dealing with illness, injury, ineligibility, just a lot of issues seemed for both sides there, and there I think ended up being 7 non-contested bouts.
Oh my gosh! Out of what, 14?
Out of 14.
In a District 10 semifinal.
Right, and
that's terrible.
Yeah, so it just kind of was strategy. Warren trying to maximize points, Meadville maximizing points, and what it came down to is the other 7 matches, and Warren was able to get it done, 36-33.
Meadville beats Warren in the regular season by 17 points, and then for the second straight year in a row, they get to the semifinals and face each other, and Warren has the edge on Meadville in the D10 duels. It all comes to naught anyway, because the winner of that semifinal goes up against Cathedral Prep, who was going for their 5th, and they rolled through Warren once again,
62-9. So it seemed like either way, both shorthanded side teams on the one side of the bracket were in for a rough one against Prep, because Prep also, they cruised past McDowell too, who was no slouch.
No,
even though they had to deal with some
missing players, forfeits,
missing players, and forfeits with ineligibility.
Well, I tell you what, there must have been a pretty hard curriculum this winter at Meadville High School, because it seems to have wiped out several athletes over the winter.
For real.
Kudos to the teachers of Meadville High for getting these kids educated, man. But boy, it's been rough on Meadville sports lately. I don't know how many people are missing because of grades or illnesses or anything like that on the wrestling side, but I know the boys basketball team was missing a couple. It happens. That was
part of the student athlete gig there. Yeah.
That's right. Student comes first. But the 2A duels were the week before, or not the week before, the day before. Yeah. That was on Wednesday, and what happened there? It was Sagertown won. Sagertown beat Hickory pretty handily. They're going up against General McLean in the quarterfinals on Saturday at Sharon. Our other teams that were in the first round, Cambridge Springs, they lost to General McLean. No,
they lost to Mercer.
They lost to Mercer. Mercer was what, 9-1?
Mercer looked tough. Very, very tough. Yeah, and all the coaches seem to be saying the same thing. We're banged up. We're sick. It seems like the wrestling. I don't know if the flu bug's been worse this year.
It has been bad.
Yeah, so it just seems like there's just been a lot of tough stuff going through the wrestling circuit, and especially when you're playing these big tournaments. It's just hard to. There's just so many kids, so much wrestling. Really. It just kind of wears on these kids.
It's tough. It's a grind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the most grinding of the sports, it seems, because you have a dual match every week, and then you have, almost every week a big tournament that you head down to. So
just think about what these wrestlers got to do when they get deep in the states. They got a big tournament at sections. They wrestle a big tournament the following week at districts. They wrestle a big tournament the following week at regionals, and then they go to states. And and to get to the top of that sport is one of the most impressive things that you could do in high school sports. I'm always amazed by it. I didn't do it in high school. I didn't really watch much of it until I started working here. But watching what these kids go through to get to the top of that podium at the end of the year is freaking impressive, man.
And that's why they get they get a big banner to their name, where the basketball team will get one, but the wrestler, just his name is on this massive banner, and it's really well earned.
Yeah. The
third one was Conneaut lost to McLean.
Conneaut lost to McLean. Conneaut showed, I think, Connie did pretty well. What was the final of that one? It was, Cash lost 52-24 to a good McLean team. But that's not a bad, that's not a terrible result for Cash. I'm sure they would prefer to win it. But, McLean's a perennial powerhouse in this district. And Cash, who had a smaller team, they were giving up some forfeits as well for a variety of reasons. I think they had some weights empty at the beginning of the year, but they just couldn't keep up with the Lancers. So that was wrestling for the week. Let's see, basketball. How about the Allegheny men? They beat number 17 Worcester Wednesday night, 89-84. That's crazy.
I went to, I think, their last 2 home games against Worcester, and they narrowly lost both of them. So it was just like heartbreaker after heartbreaker. And I think they also had the one in the tournament that was rough. Where they lost really close. Yeah. So they were right on. They had a good matchup with them, it seemed, for the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. That they always played them tough. And it just, I think that thing kind of wore on them for a few times out, and good for them for finally getting
48-game losing streak.
48 games. I mean, that gets in your mind, especially because I think they squandered big leads in a couple of those 2 losses, and this one Worcester kind of started coming back. So good on Allegheny for hanging tough there and
that was huge,
staying on top of them.
Since '96, I was in college for the last time that they.
And they're right in the middle of the pack, and that's a good conference. They're right in the middle of the pack in the standings. I think they're either 4th or 5th right now. So there's a chance that they could win a game in the tournament and maybe move on a little bit further. I think that program seems like they're on the up and up there.
Yeah, it does seem that way. High school basketball, I was at Sharon last night. Meadville finally had their full team back. They got a couple guys off of issues, injuries, stuff like that. But they still ended up losing to Sharon 74-66. It was a shame. They were down 8, 9, 10 points throughout the first half and into the third quarter. But they started chipping away in the second period. They're just getting their second half, excuse me. They're just getting their guys back now. And you could see it took about 2 quarters for the team to start clicking again, to start knowing where everybody's going to be, to make their passes, to make their shots, to make their switches on defense, stuff like that. And it really started clicking for them in the fourth quarter. And they very nearly got back. They made it a 1-point game about halfway through the fourth quarter. I keep saying second quarter, fourth quarter. And but Sharon was able to hold them off and get the win. So that's 6 in a row for the Bulldogs, and now it goes back to they got McDowell tomorrow, and then they got I think Kennedy, and then Prep, and then Erie. So it's not going to get any easier for them. But we'll see. I think
home games, though.
Home games, maybe that's going to pay because when they didn't have. They went like back and forth when they didn't have they didn't have 3 starters on the court for maybe 2 weeks, but it seemed like they really played good against McDowell. They didn't play very well they played really good against Kennedy Catholic. Didn't play well against Prep, and I think they played okay against Erie, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. And Prep was the rough one,
yeah. Prep they didn't do too well, which is
that's the one that matters in the end.
Yeah, but we'll see how it goes because that's what they're focusing on now is just getting to the districts and they only have to beat Prep. And if so I think the Prep game next week, not this next week is going to be the big one for them. Wait, is it Prep? No, I think it's McDowell, Kennedy, then Prep, then Erie. Mm-hmm. So next week, end of next week, that's going to be a big one.
So they'll get a chance. They'll kind of get their dress rehearsal against Prep in the coming weeks, where they'll get to see their full lineup against Preps.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to gauge off that for what they will need to do when it comes down to the District 10 championship.
That's the idea. Yeah. We'll see. That's Meadville. You went to where this week?
Conneaut. For basketball, they played against Grove City, and that's a tough game. Grove City's got some shooters. I think they closed that game out 9 of 13. So they just that's
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And Conneaut can score with a lot of teams. It just when it comes down to can they get the stops when they need it most, and it just didn't seem like it was in the cards again for them.
Well, they're not the most physical team, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They don't really have much size. They got some good shooters, but they really when you want to clog up the middle and stop a team from getting inside and scoring, they don't really have the presence, I don't feel, to do that.
To me, it's kind of weird. They kind of play like an NBA type style. It's strange because like everybody plays, they're like positionless, right?
Uh-huh.
It seems like everybody's like tall, lanky, and they all, they can all move the ball. They can all dribble, but they don't really. There's not really. I think that it just makes it tougher for them defensively when they're going up, say, against a big or something like. They're relying on guys that are maybe used to playing the three.
Yeah.
Playing up against big guys, but I think they have a shot. I think all the rest of their games are pretty competitive. They need to win out the rest of the way.
They're another team, kind of like Allegheny, that just pops things off sometimes. You're like, where did that come from?
Right.
They had a big win over. Well, they played like guys like Sharon Tough, and didn't they? And they got an upset over who? Somebody earlier this year that we didn't see coming. They're a good team. They just it's a shame.
I think they still have a shot, and that's what their goal is. Derek Thomas said, their goal is to make the playoffs, so they need to win out to do so. And it's possible, but they are playing. Sharpsville's pretty good, and they're gonna have to beat good teams to get there. But I think they're up to the challenge.
We'll see. Cambridge Springs beats Sagertown. Ravel Sagertown on Tuesday, 74-43. Cambridge Springs holding court on top of Region 3 this season. I don't see anybody catching them. Their biggest challenge was against Youngsville, and they beat them, last week or something like that. So they look like they're going to be in charge the rest of the way. Who else? What did Maplewood? Did Maplewood play this week? They might not have. Maplewood boys. No, I don't see any scores from them this week. Either they didn't play or we're not getting the scores. It could be one of the two. But girls basketball was tonight. Lisa went to a good one. She went to Cambridge Springs Maplewood. That was a big one for control of Region 2. Tigers, they clinched a portion of the Region 2 title with a win over Cambridge Springs tonight. That final was 56-53. Apparently, Maplewood had a decent lead after the first quarter, but Cambridge Springs kept battling and made it close, took the lead. They was back and forth throughout the game. Fouls caught up with Cambridge. They don't go very deep on their bench, maybe one or two girls. I think she said 3 out by the end of the game. They were in the bonus by the first quarter. It was a lot of fouls, which strange because I've seen both teams play and I don't remember them being very wild, you know what I mean, or out of control. So I guess it was just the intensity of the night got the better of them. The refs might have been calling it a little close, and it ended up causing. Maplewood was getting a lot of fouls on their side as well. It was let's see, is there a lot of foul shots? 14 for 30, Cambridge was, and that was I think the thing that cost them. They were 3 for 13 in the fourth quarter at the foul line. Cambridge
will do it, yeah.
Yeah, and Maplewood had 14 and 19 for the night, so they made their foul shots. And they made their threes as they have been doing. Eimer with 5 trays, 20
that's
points. And they're right inside the half court line too.
That seems like it's like the average.
Yeah,
for them, man.
Speaking of wins that come out of nowhere, Meadville beat Hickory tonight. Hickory's not the Hickory that they have been in years past, but Meadville got a good win over Hickory, 47-38 tonight. That gets Meadville, who's had so many ups and downs this season. Sometimes they look great, sometimes they don't. They're third place in the region. They could get themselves a decent seeding for the playoffs, in a couple weeks. Conneaut area beat up on the winless Oil City Oilers 59-38. Sagertown 42-25 over Iroquois. I tell you what, the Sagertown girls, their defense has been really looking sharp lately. I don't know of many teams that have got past 30 on them in the last couple of weeks. They're really locking teams down. I think they've won 6 in a row, maybe 5 or 6 in a row. They're playing tough. Cockerton beats up on Tidiu Charter 79-28. They scored 54 in the first half tonight.
They can score with
56. Excuse me.
I feel like there's been a bunch of Cockerton games where they're up in the 70s.
They have several girls that can shoot that ball. Inside and outside. Martinek, Moore, Harvey. They get it done. Kat Miller. They got a lot of girls that can shoot. Jamestown lost to Portersville Christian 59-25. Meadville Hockey got a win tonight over Armstrong. They're in an interesting situation. They have only 3 games left in PIHL Class 2A. And the way coach seems to think is they need to win out in order to be in the top 2 and make the playoffs this year. They're currently in second. They have 17 points or something like that. And the team below them, Mars, has 13, but Mars has 3 games in hand. So yeah, it's
scheduling.
Yeah, it's really weird and balanced. So it's hard to gauge what they need to do right now and what the team below them needs to do. But Meadville just has to take care of their own business. I think they got Plum on Monday. They were supposed to play Saturday against Gilmore Academy, but that game got canceled. So they're going to play Plum following Monday, and that's the one they got to have. Everyone is one they got to have from here on out. So it's going to be a fun race to the finish for the Meadville Bulldogs. Mike Mahoney had a hat trick and 2 assists today for Meadville. Cole Weber, 2 assists, 2 goals, and Jordan McCurdy, 46 stops and 48 shots.
I think their goaltending has been really strong all year.
Yeah,
I think I've been most impressed with them, just because they take on a lot of shots and they stand tall, and I think that's credit to the coaching and really if the. Also, like the defense
and experience. Jordan's been starting for a long time. He's confident back there, and he has that psychosis that goalies have, where they could shake something if it doesn't go right.
Yeah, and when a defense, when a team has that many shots and a lot of them don't go in, odds are they're taking shots from tough spots. So credit to the defense for kind of keeping them outside.
You would hope. One would hope.
But that's. Some of the games that I saw when they won, it was kind of like that. The other team would be shooting from the top of the circle and stuff like that, and not really in the slot in the high danger areas.
Tomorrow we get back to boys basketball. We got a few good games. Mercer's going to be at Lakeview. Cochrane's going to be at Sagertown. That's going to be a good one. Kind of neighbors, sort of, not Pencrest or anything.
Cochrane's been a lot stronger.
Cochrane's they've been playing well. Sagertown, that's going to be a good game, I think. Cochrane and Sagertown. Union City at Cambridge Springs.
They played them tough the first time out at Union City, and they were kind of banged up.
Yeah.
They were missing some guys off their bench, and they kind of slowed it down against Cambridge. That was kind of their goal, kind of make them earn every basket, make it kind of long possessions, not really.
That's interesting because you wouldn't. Cambridge is usually the team that sets the tone in a game. So to be able to get the
eventually Cambridge did take over that role, but first half it was pretty tight.
Eisenhower's at Maplewood tomorrow. McDowell's at Meadville. So that's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I wish we had one more reporter, but we do not. We only have what we have. Then the D10 duels commence, as we said, on Saturday. It's going to be... I have this. The D10 2A duels are going to be the quarterfinals at Sharon High School, 9 a.m. Reynolds versus Eisenhower. I wonder how that's going to turn out. Mercer versus Titusville. That's going to be a good one. Both teams are pretty good. General McLean versus Sagertown. That's going to be a good one too. Corey versus Greenville. Those are going to, other than the Reynolds one, I'm really interested to see how the quarterfinals pan out. Yeah. The semifinals will be at 3 at Sharon High School, and the consolation and championship games championship matches are going to be at 5. I think the top 3 get 2.
Top 3, yeah.
Well, the champ goes straight to Hershey. I think the 2 go to preliminaries wherever against whoever.
I wonder if there will be I think last year there was the interesting strategic move by Greenville, kind of when they wrestled Reynolds, they forfeited every match to get to be well rested for the third place game. I hope that's not the case this time around. I understand the gamesmanship. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Just because it's high school, and I just feel I think you should have confidence in your team that they can win it.
I wonder if having such world beaters in District 10, like Reynolds in 2A, like Cathedral Prep in 3A, has kind of made every other team in District 10 kind of disillusioned with the whole team part of wrestling. Because, I don't know, the duels just seem, a lot of the duels that I went to have just And a lot of it's teams don't have full teams, you know.
Right.
They're missing so many
Numbers
kids.
being down too.
Yeah, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of importance about the team score anymore. Even all the way into duels where there's so many forfeits and there's teams taking matches off, and it's like, what are we doing here? Why am I coming down here to watch this? You know, when there's I don't know. It's been aggravating lately that there just seems to be such a.
I think that's why. I guess you have to, with the amount of teams, have the third place thing in there. But if you had to win the semis to do anything, you wouldn't be forfeiting those matches.
Right.
You would have to play for it. So like, even though Prep was a world beater, every team that went up against them had to send out their best because if they want to make it through, you got to beat Prep. So. I mean, McDowell gave them everything they had.
Yeah.
Warren did too. I mean, it's tough with the gamesmanship being put into play where you kind of wish that didn't have to happen in high school.
No. And it's been bothering me actually for a couple years because there'd be an opportunity where, we're going to see this, this match is going to have a nice matchup between this kid at 138 and this kid at 138. And then the coaches will finagle it and they'll send out a palooka and then it'll just be a pin and then they'll move their guy up. And it's just like, what? And everybody's come to see this and they're just booing. I mean, it's been happening all the time.
Yeah.
It's part of wrestling. If you could get 6 points.
It is part of the sport,
But it's a lousy part of the sport. You want to see good guy faces good guys.
I'm with you.
That's the highlight of the match, and it's just that's not what coaches are interested in anymore. They want the 6 points, and I don't know.
It's like analytics.
Yeah, it's lousy.
It's essentially they're doing math rather than they're like counting up how can I get the max points and
and wrestling has I think an issue. Unless you're a wrestler, it's kind of hard to understand what's going on because they don't announce a lot of times who's wrestling who. You're just kind of seeing these two kids.
It's at the mercy of the guy with the mic.
And so it's not a very spectator friendly thing unless you're really into wrestling or you've wrestled before and you understand.
Or
the sport.
everybody too.
And so already and then taking out the best matchups from the match. That hurts it even more, you know what I mean? And I don't know how many converts they're making in that sport right now with the way things are going. Well, you can't force them to wrestle guys, you know what I mean? It's their discretion, but it's a drag for me sometimes when this is one thing I was looking forward to going to this match and I'm deprived of it because that.
But at least there's the individual tournament, and you got no reason to forfeit anything in that. So
those are still great. Individual tournaments are still fun, and Anyway, where were we? Okay. So that's wrestling for the week.
We went over Friday, and then I think that's and I think we didn't touch on swimming. Meadville got swept to Prep and Villa, but there were some decent performances.
Yeah, Josh. They got a couple good individual kids at Olivia Philbrook for the girls. Josh Murch Baker. They all did their thing today. They had a couple. Gabe Cummings had a pretty good night. Braden Blasco won an event. Ellis Stewart, so they have here and there, but it's Prep and Villa. They have all the talent in Erie County kind of concentrated in their pool, and it showed. So that was that. I guess we have. I tell you what. Before we get to the Super Bowl, the Kobe thing. Sunday. Sunday was terrible. I had to lay out Sunday, and God, that was terrible. And I hate when a celebrity dies and everybody on social media makes it about them and how
that was I think this was the largest social media outpouring
perhaps
that I can remember. I think it's just because social media is more prominent now than Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Prince. It seemed like it just this one everybody had something to say. Which was interesting. I think just the tragedy of it is just so horrible because there are kids involved.
That was the worst part.
That same with me. As I think that it was just there are kids there, like they were with their parents, and it was like just the terror and everything that must have been going on there must have been just awful. I didn't really have much to say that everybody didn't already say.
Right.
Because I wasn't really a big Kobe fan.
I respect
he didn't really
the guy.
touch. I thought he was a great basketball player. He was a great basketball player. He seemed like he was a very good father.
Yeah.
Too, which was kind of nice to see. But there's other stuff in his life that was maybe issues, in his past. But I guess right when he dies, it's not really the time or place,
Yeah.
But I think it's just when you look at his life as a whole, there's just a lot. There's a lot there to unpack, and I think that it's nice that people honored him, and it's really nice that he meant so much to a lot of people. I think, but I just thought the social media outpouring where it was people taking it and making it their story. I think it's just how people cope, but also I think people were trying to get attention.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that, but
I don't either. But I felt the same way because I was starting to say that I don't like when people do that as well, when they make it about themselves, which happened quite a bit, and some people were cool about it. But to make it about me for a second, that it was tough just dealing with that news all day Sunday, laying out the paper because I have a daughter as well, and just going through that, and
for sure,
dealing with that was all day long.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard so much is that fathers with daughters. I think that's that was the stuff that I thought was the most interesting because I think people definitely felt that that's terrifying and horrible news.
But that's the other part is how it happened. It was so sudden and random, and it was nobody's
how it was reported
fault.
Was bad. Too.
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah,
where they were reporting Rick Fox. They were reporting all of his. Rick Fox was, I think, the other day was a lot of people in my life were shook up about that because they thought I died.
Who does that?
The thing that's crazy is people criticize TMZ. TMZ has their own issues because they reported it before I guess the family knew.
Yeah.
Or some people in the family knew, and TMZ is just not going to play by the rules. But they were at least they were accurate.
Were they?
But ABC News of all people was wrong. They reported all the daughters were on the helicopter, and I think that's just it's better to be right than first, and that is the message.
When are they going to learn that? Because this is happening too much. Where they want
And we're in the media, so we get to kind of say that it's more important to be correct than immediate. And I think that you gotta check your sources, you gotta double check your sources, you gotta verify your sources. It's just, and the fact that ABC News did that is tough to swallow when it's such a serious event. It's one thing to mess up the score of a game, but it's another thing to mess up.
It's sudden, and because you didn't see it coming. It wasn't like he was ill. It wasn't like it was something he did, drugs or something like that, or it wasn't a violent crime. It was just
an accident,
drop out of the sky.
Freak accident.
Yeah, and that's hard to accept, and it's hard to come to terms with.
It seemed that's what it was
happen.
too. It seemed like the pilot didn't really do anything wrong.
It's just
malfunction, fog.
Who knows?
Terrible.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
but that was tough.
I thought it was just crazy. I watched the Grammys after. I thought Alicia Keys did a really good job. Apparently, he meant so much to so many people.
Wow, yeah. How many years is he in the league?
I know, and it seemed like he was in the league for must have been 20 years, almost 20 years.
One of the two biggest markets in America, and the only one that has a successful basketball franchise.
And he just you always hear Mamba mentality, and he was never afraid to take the shot, or he wanted the shot. Mm-hmm. He wanted the shot every time, and I think a lot of kids, look up to that about him is having the courage to take the shots and all that stuff.
And he did because he was one of the hardest workers in the game.
That too, his work ethic. I think I thought there was some cool stuff where there was people were posting his state championship with Lower Merion. They beat I think it was Prep. They beat Prep.
Was it?
I think it was 96. And he had a bad first half, and then the second half he went off. So it's just crazy. And but yeah, the Grammys, they did a lot of tributes. I thought that was pretty nice. It's kind of interesting though, because what I wanted more about the other 8 people. I thought
they didn't even know.
Kind of
you kept getting different reports all throughout the day, and it wasn't until very late at night that they mentioned the coach from the Orange County and his kid and his wife and who was actually on.
I wanted more of the tweets and stuff to be not just rest in peace Kobe, but rest in peace these 9 people, because like I mean it just felt to me like their deaths were a little bit overshadowed. But I think that's just, that's what it is with fame and celebrity and all that. It's just, I don't think people meant anything negative by it. It just was tough to deal with.
I mean, I had my problems with Kobe too, but every time you'd see him and they'd show him on a sideline, he's chatting with his daughters. That really crushed me.
And his daughter, that was the daughter that was the basketball player. And I think there was one thing that was really cool was I think they kept showing that clip with him and his daughter courtside.
Yeah.
And she like finishes his sentence like she knew what he was trying to say.
Yep.
It's just
That was a difficult day for somebody that really has I have no connection to as far as being a fan or anything like that. In fact, he probably beat my teams more than I've been rooting for him, but it was so I was surprised at
and
how
he was
sad,
happy doing it too. He was happy beating your team.
I was surprised at how sad I was about the situation, but I guess it makes sense considering that the kid and everything like that. So that was that, and then Sunday we got the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl it's kind of great. I think Kobe's taken really over like the news. This is probably the least hyped Super Bowl.
Well, it shouldn't be because it's going to be probably a good game.
It should be. I think it's going to be a great game. Possibly Super Bowl. You could get a terrible game, but this one I don't see this game how this game could be that terrible. I think that if the Niners are in the lead, they're going to be running the ball and they run the ball really well. But that means the Chiefs are going to be throwing it all the time, and that's what they do better. And it's just like, or if you flip it the other way, the Chiefs aren't that good at running. If they have a lead, the Niners might be able to catch up because the Chiefs can't really run the ball that well.
Yeah,
and
they don't. The time possession goes the other way.
Yeah, and I think it's just, I think it's going to be a great game, and I think a part of the loss of intrigue is that the Patriots aren't in it because there's not the team that everybody universally hates.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like, you're just kind of hoping for an enjoyable football game.
That's it. Well, commercials, some buffalo chicken dip.
I've been disappointed. Yep, buffalo chicken dip is always a staple. I've been down on the commercials lately. I don't know. The past few years, I can't even remember like my favorite ones. I guess that's just every year. I just forget them after they're done.
They posted some Post Malone videos on Twitter. I thought that one was pretty funny where he's drinking the mango and he smiles.
Is he going to do another one? Isn't he in? He was in Doritos one recently.
Yeah,
too.
It was pretty funny for Bud Light.
Yeah,
Seltzer.
I'm waiting for Budweiser with the horses. I love the horses.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is they stop trying to be funny and they try
to
get
emotional or political.
I hate that
that's the worst. My favorite ones from back in the day were the Doritos ones. I think it was like the guy set up like a mouse trap and he's like eating his Doritos, like waiting for the mouse to get like ripped apart by the mouse trap. The mouse turns out to be like as big as a person, just beats the crap out of the guy.
I don't remember that one.
And that was then their E-Trade was funny too with the baby, talking baby.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right.
That's probably it.
Probably it.
Petering out here.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
No, I think we'll probably move back to earlier in the week next week.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. It again didn't time out well. We were hoping to have Matt back in the studio for this week, but it didn't turn out that way again because of days off and people going here and there. And
scheduling for this week, Thursday made the most sense, I thought.
Yeah, it's just tough because I have to get my kid on the school bus, so I'm up at 6 a.m. Not that I stayed up, but it's my sleep schedule's bonkers lately. So I'm kind of running out of steam. So we'll stop recording here. We appreciate you listening. If you have any comments or concerns or questions, you can email us at sports@meadvilletribune.com, or you can reach out to us on Twitter at Tribune_sports. That's on Twitter.
Give us a follow, and we update a lot of the games that we go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we try to. Some of us do.
It depends on really the signal from the gyms.
Yeah,
that's where my biggest issue comes in.
We go to a lot of schools out in the country, and some of them don't have the best technology. But we do what we can, folks, and we appreciate you hanging with us. And we'll talk to you next week.